Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
Yes, sir.
No, it's good. I think it feels good. I think we got space. I think we got a microphone. I can hear my ears on my headphones. I think we could do a show like this.
And you have enough room on the cable on your headphones?
Yeah,
give you enough
I
room?
can.
And what I love is you left your mask on around your neck, so it shows this guy, he masks up.
This guy cares about the health of others.
Absolutely. I do too. Mine's just over there.
This guy doesn't care about the health of
others. I do.
No, I just, you know what? I put it, yeah, of course we're joking. We both are actually very diligent mask wearers, I will have you know. So for those of you who will be making fun of us for doing that, we say, you know what?
You're wrong.
I have a heart. I have a heart, and I use that heart to help others. And if that makes me a loser, then I'm happily a loser.
Happily a loser. Happily.
We're the happy losers.
I'm actually.
We're also your co-pilots.
We're happy. We are your co-pilots. I was going to make a joke that I have a mask on. It's just got my face printed on the front of it. You just can't tell.
Oh, that's what we need.
Yeah, we need masks with their face that have animatronic.
Yes,
that's a real investment.
That imitate our mouth movements and then put them. Basically, if we could use. You know, like that technology, the same technology people talk about to hide cars, to totally, right, where they have cameras on the outside that basically reflect what's on the outside, so you can't see it. It's essentially mirroring what's around it to make it look like it's not there.
We need those.
We need that for our masks.
We need mirror masks.
Does our mask? It does the cameras on our mouth, and then it just mirrors what our mouths are saying. And then nobody will even know. And then people will stop making fun of me for being a person who cares.
I believe that maybe we're not being made fun of as much as we're thinking. I think that people are. I think they like us.
Okay.
I think we got friends.
Think so?
We got friends.
Okay.
We got.
Okay. Really?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Really? Doesn't believe me.
I don't know. I haven't seen anybody in so long.
I know.
You're the only human part of my family I've seen.
I know. It's very true.
Really?
It is just good to be back in person, sitting here in the same room, because we did 3 months of Zoom calls.
3 months of Zoom calls.
And here we are.
I have seen some people. I mean, it's like you walk around the grocery store around the block. I see my neighbors. I'm exaggerating a little. Let's not.
You never do that.
No, I never do that. But you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
I do feel like I don't have any friends.
You got me, buddy.
I got you, baby. Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop.
Well, welcome to the Biofriendly Podcast. We are your co-pilots. We are your co-pilots.
I'm co-pilot Noel.
I'm co-pilot Jacob, and we're here to steer this ship far away from the subject that we start on.
Yes.
No, just kidding. This subject today, actually, once again, this might be one of those things that I say, and I'm like, I read about it for the first time, and Noel's like, I have so many books on this.
You're going to stump me this time. I got a good feeling you're going to stump me this
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out there already.
All right.
Ocean farming.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Of course he does. Yeah, but this is.
You know who actually is really well versed in this, though, and most of the data I have on ocean farming comes from Mike. My brother,
Mike.
My brother is totally into it.
Who you guys remember, of course. He's a very knowledgeable water energy source.
He's a water guy.
He's a water guy.
Water guy.
He's a water boy.
He's a water boy. Guy gives water to football players.
Yeah, well, it was basically because I saw there was this article on Wired UK that came out, and it just basically was the race is on to grow crops in the sea and feed millions of people. That's what started this journey.
Yeah.
But it actually led me to two different types of technology that exist that are coming forward, because like we covered in a previous episode about the soil degradation, soil erosion, and kind of some of the problems that they're looking at from that. There's a lot of people that have been looking into ways that we can grow and cultivate crops utilizing the ocean, which it's a problem because the salinity, the salt, that's not usually something that works, but there've been some people to create different ways of doing it.
There have been breakthroughs.
There's been breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Do you know any off the top of your head?
Well, okay,
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. My feeling on this is a little bit is gonna be potentially counter to what we're reading and so I look, I think that I love technology. I love investing in new ideas. Obviously I'm a big fan of innovation.
Sure.
So I'll put that caveat there in the first place. But my concern about ocean farming in general is that we've got to. I feel like we've got to make the space we've been given work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I kind of shy away from and turn away from a little bit of what people are coming up with, even though some of it is very cool. Just because, like, we shouldn't be dealing with soil degradation. We should be taking care of our soil.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a fair point. It's like they gave you've been given Earth,
right,
and you're like, let's go mess up Mars. You know, it's kind of like, let's just leave, let's Wall-E this place.
Yeah.
Let's get on a ship and just let it rot. And it's like, well, maybe we should fix the things that are broken instead of trying to take more land under the water, to wreck.
I mean, it's kind of, and again, it's kind of like desalination, right? I get desalination. I get that people are in areas and they need water, and this is a way to provide water for people,
right?
And to provide water for plants and all sorts of cool things. And it's cool technology, and it's pretty amazing that we've done it. But at the same time, we like that's part of the ocean. That's kind of part of that, a different, I mean, it's obviously part of our planet and we live with an ocean, but it's filled with salt water for a reason.
Right. And who's to say that moving too much in this direction won't then destroy the ocean floor and ecosystems that are in balance there, right?
Right. We've kind of got to stop finding solutions that tear up other species' environments.
Yeah.
And we got to start figuring out ways to make what we got going work. We're land animals. We are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that bummer run to start off.
Well, no, that's fine. I mean, in all honesty, this was going to begin with a bummer run because the whole thing that I found in this article, I was like, they were addressing a lot of the problems that you are talking about, which is, here, I'll even a little section here. These ambitious initiatives target a thorny mess of environmental and humanitarian issues: freshwater and land scarcity, global hunger, crop security, and agriculture's enormous carbon footprint, amongst others. But the scientific and logistical challenges they face are enormous. In a field where there are few easy answers, one problem looms above all others: what will we do about all the salt? So that was they're listing, this is problematic. It has a lot of things wrong with it and challenges that they would have to figure out. So it began on a bummer run. But then I found two different things that were going on that I was like, okay, that's interesting. These are ways that I hadn't thought about. And so I'll hit on those a little bit.
Knock it out of the park, man.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So the first so many articles that I have here. Okay. 2 projects that are exploring the potential of underwater farming. The first comes from a thing called Nemo's Garden. Okay. And Nemo's Garden, it's a project that uses underwater transparent bubbles. Okay. So they look like biospheres that house edible plants.
Right. Okay.
So they're fixed to the bottom of the floor, but they're domes.
Okay.
And the salt water is just at the base of them, but it's open air inside these bubbles under the sea. And so the climate stays more balanced because the sunlight is always kind of the same. So it's getting sunlight, but it's not fluctuating in climate. And then the water evaporates, comes to the roof of the bioswale, and then comes down as fresh water. So it desalinates itself and then comes down. And so this is a way that this project, and I think it's near Italy, so they're able to do it. But this was a cool idea, but they knew in this article that we can't cover. It's problematic to make millions of these biospheres to go. You could do a small amount, right?
Right.
But it was still a really cool. It said the system is almost fully self-sustainable. No pests can wander in, nor can disease spores be brought in by the wind. Fresh water is available 24/7 through desalination. All biospheres have a dome-like structure where only the bottom part is immersed in seawater. And this design ensures much needed fresh water for the topmost area with plants. So that was a cool concept, right?
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah.
So Nemo's Garden.
Okay.
So if you want to look at that. But this second one, this is the story that really kind of, this morning when I was reading it, it was a powerful story about how this all happened. This was from a guy, and you can Google his name because he's well known in this movement for what he did.
Okay.
But his name is Bren Smith.
Okay.
Bren. His story was called, it was on a Medium article, and this is from a couple years ago. The Seas Will Save Us, How an Army of Ocean Farmers Are Starting an Economic Revolution.
Okay.
So his long story short, I don't want to read too much, but there are some sections that I want to hit on. His long story is in the 80s, when he was young, early 80s, he dropped out of high school and became, working as a fisherman.
Yeah.
Out in the upper parts of Newfoundland, up in Canada, right? So he was working there, and really he was doing a lot of the fishing that was like providing the fish for McDonald's, really scraping, and they were providing food for the country, but they were doing it at great ecological costs. Right. They were going out deep and really going into waters that they shouldn't have been.
Interesting.
And at this point in time, they were just whatever we can take, more and more and more.
Yeah.
So that whole industry, no calls, guys. I'm telling a powerful moving story.
If you could hold those just for a second. I mean, I know that you want to pitch in. We've all got opinions.
Everybody's got opinions. I know I brought up the McDonald's fish fillet, but now it's not the time.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. Everyone's like, fish fillet, McRib. It's McRibs that we love.
It's McRib. I want to talk about the McRib. Yeah. But so that industry kind of busted, in about 1990 because there was, legislation and it basically said in the early 90s the cod stocks crashed back home.
Okay.
So basically thousands of fishermen thrown out of work, boats beached, canneries shuttered. So this split the fishing industry. Boy, I know they really want to call in, but it's ridiculous.
Passionate.
They want to talk about fish.
We forgot to turn off our phones again, ladies and gentlemen. That's just to remind you that we are back in the office.
Yeah.
And,
we want to show them.
Your phone calls.
We want them to know that the level of unprofessionalism that they're used to is back.
Yeah. Come on, folks.
Come on, guys.
We're back to the garbage train you started on.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So basically, when this industry kind of collapsed in the 90s, it split into two camps.
Okay.
You had the captains of industry who wanted to take the last fish.
Fish.
And these people were like, they were thinking, and to this guy's article, he says they were thinking 10 years down the road.
Right.
And he's like, the rest of us were thinking 50, 100 years down the road. We're like, one group was like, well, we'll just keep taking the fish until they're gone. There's no more fish, And he's like, most of us younger people, because he started at 14, was like, that's not going to work. We got to figure out something else to do.
Yeah.
So
here's the problem. Here's the
yeah.
problem, guys. And here's what they're not thinking about. What if you want to fillet a fish in 11 years?
Right. They said 10 years. You at least got to go to 11. We learned that from Spinal Tap. You have to turn the fish up to 11.
If they had thought about fillet a fish in 11 years, we'd be okay, but they didn't.
They didn't. Some captains of industry. We're captains of a podcast, and we know better than that.
Oh, co-pilots.
I kind of really wish that we were doing this whole episode with like chin beards and corncob pipes and like captain's hats. And
we should be captains of the podcast.
We should captains of the podcast, next time. Yeah. So after this,
I need a whaling spear.
You do need a whaling spear, just in general.
Not to like use. I would never hurt a whale, but I want the spear.
I think that if every podcast, it just became your thing that you had a whaling spear.
I just have a whaling spear. Feels like, isn't that kind of like anti-biofriendly? Like, no.
Yeah, no. You don't need it.
If I have it, someone else doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my point.
True. Or maybe we give you like Neptunes, like a trident.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Yeah. Now it's like God of the sea.
Yeah, then I can kill anything.
Yeah. You are a fan of the sea, though. You're like, I think of you as a very aquatic person. The sea,
which is probably one of the reasons why I'm like, stop messing with it.
Yeah, that's true. If you know the show, you know that he's passionate about reefs and the ocean. And so when you hear the idea of ocean farming, it does kind of sound like, well, why are you messing with such a perfectly, beautiful environment? Yeah. Why are you messing with it? Yeah. But I'm telling you, this story, I think it gets good. I'm interested to hear what you think.
I will keep stopping with tangents, but as when we get there eventually, I'm encouraged to learn something new.
Yeah. So he and many like-minded people were kind of on a search for sustainability. He ended back in northern Canada on an aquaculture farm, but he said it was a lot of more the same, using technologies to pollute local waterways with pesticides, pumping fish full of antibiotics. He was like, not good. So he was searching then. He ended up back in Long Island Sound, and this was a program in the early 1990s to attract young fishermen back into the industry by opening up shell fishing grounds for the first time in 150 years. Okay. So he signed up, leased some grounds from the state of New York. He remade himself as an oyster man. But this then again fell apart. because then Hurricane Irene and Hurricane Sandy, it thrashed the East Coast and it took away all these businesses for these guys because of the way that it was built.
Right.
So this is, what finally led him on something else. And this is the part that really hit me. And I want to share this. I'm going to read it because it's very good, and he did a good way of putting it out there. He said, "Suddenly, I found myself on the front lines of a climate crisis that had arrived 100 years earlier than expected. For a long time, I'd seen climate change as an environmental issue because environmentalists were always framing it in terms of birds, bears, and bees. But I'm a fisherman. I kill things for a living. I grew up shooting moose out of my kitchen window.
Wow.
I never thought climate change had anything to do with my life, but it does. From my vantage point, climate change is not just an environmental issue at all, it's an economic issue." Okay. And that was something that I was like, we have talked about that before.
Absolutely talked about that, yep.
How as we continue to share environmentalism with the world, we are taking it out of, it's just a bunch of people hugging trees and about saving the species, that the economy will thrive, the world will thrive, that we can balance again.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was excited to read that.
He's on board with this.
He's on board.
Okay.
He's on board. So what he figured out was vertical underwater farming.
Okay.
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 So I'm going to try to describe what it is. Okay, so imagine a vertical underwater garden with hurricane-proof anchors on the edges connected by floating horizontal ropes across the surface.
Okay.
From these lines, kelp and Gracilaria, another word that I don't know if I'm pronouncing correctly.
I like it.
Kelp
sounds nice. It
does.
sounds like something, it sounds like someone who would teach me to do the mamba, maybe.
Yeah, it's like a dance step.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's both a dance step and
the dance teacher.
Yeah, and a local and the dance teacher.
Yes, the Gracilaria will teach you how to do the.
I feel like it's the dance teacher, the dance step, and it's the name of the local restaurant that serves the best sangria. It's like the Gracilaria.
Yes.
There you'll learn the Gracilaria with Gracilaria.
You should learn the Gracilaria. The Gracilaria will provide you with some Gracilaria, and you'll learn from a Gracilaria.
About the Gracilaria.
This is like Stromboli. The word Stromboli is one that my family uses with much fondness because we believe it can mean anything.
I don't even know. It's a type of food, correct? Stromboli.
It's a type of food, and
I don't know.
And we have for years now. It's been just the all-purpose word.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, would you Stromboli that television for me? Or hey, grab the Stromboli. Because I need to move this. Or
I like that.
Yeah, it's everything. It's anything.
A word that
it's
means
everything. It's
Stromboli.
Yeah. I have the most Stromboli feeling about this. It could be like it could be an adjective. It could be a verb. It could be a noun. It's anything.
I hope you stub your toe and you go Stromboli.
Stromboli. Yes.
Or you read really good news and you're like Stromboli.
Yes. And I think Gracilaria could be that for us.
Okay. Gracilaria. I love it.
Yes.
So kelp and Gracilaria and other kinds of seaweeds grow vertically downward next to scallops and hanging nets that look like Japanese lanterns and mussels held in suspension in mesh socks.
Okay.
Staked below the vertical garden are oysters in cages and then clams buried in the seafloor.
Okay.
So
I am less upset
about that.
About fishing in farming fish, depending on how it's done. There's some ways where it's awful. Like there's examples of people doing really terrible fish farming. But I think we are fishing anyway. We do eat a lot of food. We've been doing that for all time since the beginning of time. If we can find a way to do that without destroying the natural population, then I am actually for that.
Yeah.
So this is okay.
This is getting good. This is why. So I too, when I saw the subject material, I was like, the first few articles that I read were a lot of bummer runs. It was just bummer run after bummer run. And it was like, we could do this, but it's got a lot of problems and we got the salt and all this stuff. But this is a kind
I don't want to find out we're growing corn underwater.
Right. And those pods, they are growing, like some of them are growing like regular vegetables underwater. And you're like, let's fix the land for growing the corn.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
But this has got some cool stuff. So he basically said that's what the farms look like. If you look for his farm from ashore, there's almost nothing to see. which is a good thing.
Right.
The farm is vertical. It has a small footprint. His farm used to be 100 acres, he's saying, before this type of thing.
Right.
And he says now it's down to 20 acres, but it produces much more food than before. So it's basically, he calls it 3D farming.
Right.
And so that's the name of it.
Yeah. Well, see, now this is like the example I could use for this would be like chickens. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a lot more chickens on Earth now than would probably be on Earth, if not for the fact that there is farming.
Oh, for sure. Right.
Like there's chickens. There's chickens everywhere. Chickens are not an endangered species. Chickens are fine. Like they're kind of doing fine.
Yeah.
Not doing fine in how they're being farmed all the time, which I just want to point out. We've covered that in other podcasts.
Absolutely.
That we need to be better about how we treat our chickens.
We have Alchemist Farm as an example of fantastic chicken farming.
Right. So you can do it well and you can do it right. But chickens are, they don't fly.
Right.
They're very catchable by wolves. I mean, they're the kind of bird that could go extinct naturally.
Yeah.
Because of how they are.
Trying to cross the road all the time.
I mean, they're constantly crossing the road and
They're
getting hit by cars.
always crossing the road.
Always. Not that, I mean, they also reproduce pretty well. But
right.
But there's a ton of chickens out there, and they're not really in danger of disappearing anytime soon because farming is because they're popular, because they're popular to eat, right? So I think that instead of eliminating all of the cod on Earth, finding a way to encourage them to survive and grow and to be responsible for them and treat them like like a farm animal would stop that from happening, because now instead of going out and hunting them into extinction, they're being farmed and they're being cared for and raised. And that, I think, is a good thing.
And that is the bee's knees.
And the bummer run is over with that.
Yeah, right. So his whole thing that he's working to build is basically, so he's calling it, where's the word here? It's called blue-green economy. Blue-green economy.
All right.
So
ocean, environment.
Yes,
economy.
ocean and plant life, like coming, I mean, to be able, but this is the part that I wasn't expecting, which is, he says, it's a sea basket approach. We grow 2 types of seaweeds, 4 kinds of shellfish, and we harvest salt. But with over 10,000 edible plants in the ocean, we've barely scratched the surface.
Yeah.
So this is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We eat only a few species, and we grow basically none in the United States. So there's a lot of plant life in the ocean that if we could...
edible.
That's
that
edible.
Could be pretty good.
Yes.
Like maybe that salad that I had today could have been a lot tastier and healthier if we had grown it on the seafloor.
Yeah, because he's tried with kelp. He's basically said, we're working with chefs to cook up kelp noodles with parsnips and breadcrumbs and barbecue sauce. They're trying to do stuff with kelp, but kelp is problematic because it just doesn't taste that good.
No.
But the chefs he's constantly working with them, and he said that the chefs are kind of overwhelmed because there's so many that I've never cooked with or prepared. I don't even know where to begin in my 20 years of culinary understanding. This is an alien species plant for me here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
But
one day,
yeah,
they're gonna find one of these things. I have a great feeling about this.
It's gonna be delicious.
And they're like, this is chocolate.
Yes, exactly. Wouldn't that be cool?
We have just found
the chocolate of the sea.
Chocolate of the sea.
That would be
people
incredible.
Are gonna get that and be like, oh God, yes!
Right? It would be so amazing. And native seaweeds contain more vitamin C than orange juice.
Yeah.
More calcium than milk.
Yeah.
And more protein than soybeans.
Yeah.
I
still can't stand it.
And then I know. But again, if there's 10,000 species, there's chocolate down there.
There's chocolate there.
There is what's that chocolate spread that everybody... Nutella. There's a Nutella down there.
There is.
There's a Nutella. They're gonna find a plant.
Find something, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is interesting." Now, if we mix this with sugar and milk, and they're gonna make...
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Maybe it's not sugar. Maybe it's 2 other things. But some chef is going to be like, if we put butter and crawdads.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is like SpongeBob is becoming a reality here. I feel like this pineapple under the sea, the Krabby Patties. I feel like maybe we're going to be heading into, there's some delicious fast food joints at the bottom of the sea that we had no idea about.
I'm in on the delicious bottom of the sea fast food joints. Right. I mean, right? I mean,
you just have to take a submarine down there.
If I have no problem with farming corn down there, why would I have a problem with putting McDonald's on that under the sea? It's
great.
It's great.
No, but the last thing, and I promise I'm done reading because there was a lot of cool things, but there was a fact in there that I didn't know, and you know how there's a lot of pressure nowadays to have your omega-3s. That's like a big vitamin thing. If you kids don't know, when you get older, you got to have these, vitamins and minerals that you got to take. And a lot of times
kids don't get older.
People say, especially to men, they say for your heart health, you got to have your omega-3 vitamins.
Yeah. You need your brain vitamins. You need your what do they call them? Your essential oils or something.
Right. Right. Yes. So it surprised me. And this is what it says right here. The omega-3s, fish do not create these heart-healthy nutrients by themselves. They consume them. So the majority... Yes.
Wow.
So I did not know that the omega-3s aren't really coming from the fish themselves.
So we don't have to have the mercury from the poisoned fish that we've been killing?
Yes. So omega-3s are part of the diet of the fish.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of those omega-3 nutrients from the sea food. From the plants.
You're telling me that I could have tasty chocolate that gives me my omega-3 vitamins without having the fish flavor in the back of my throat?
Yes, because I got to tell you, God. I'm not really a fish eater.
This will make aging better.
Yes. Yeah, so we got to get a scuba team.
Scuba team.
With
Team 7.
With a knife and fork.
Yes.
And they got to just start
eating
the bottom of the seafloor, and they got to just start eating.
They need to comb the sea. And eat every square inch. Until everything is discovered and we find that chocolate.
There does need to be a brave person who has to start eating stuff on the seafloor. We got to figure it out. So who is brave out there? Who's going to volunteer for this job? Where is that? Right? I hope right now there's people in their car and patriotic music is playing behind them and they're like, glory, glory, hallelujah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
But but there's danger here, folks.
There is danger.
There is danger because
what's up, danger?
Okay. There's danger, and it's not just someone's middle name.
Yeah.
So when people were in the old days figuring out which plants to eat and which mushrooms to eat and not to eat, a lot of death.
I know.
A lot of death.
I know. There was some trial and error, I'm sure, along the way. Thousands of years ago when people were wandering around just eating plants.
Yeah. Can you imagine we pull up chocolate of the sea and find out later, in 17 years, this is going to give you cancer.
Right. It's like the comedian. I don't know whose bit this is, where they said that the person who found the pineapple, that was a real gamble. You look at the outside of that thing and you're like, oh no, and then you open it up, it's amazing, but the outside looks so hostile,
dangerous. Yeah, it's going to eat you.
Yeah. But there's going to be a lot of trial and error. But I would imagine with our technology now, we probably have the ability to slice a bit off of something we pull off the ocean floor and analyze it and say,
there's cyanide in this.
This has cyanide.
Yeah.
This is not going to be good for you.
Yeah.
So
maybe, look, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We're not the same as we were when we were foraging in the old days. Okay.
Back then, what they did is they went, Roger, try this.
Sure thing.
This one's no good. This one's no good. These are, we'll call them toadstools.
Yeah. Who's the new Roger?
Yeah, who's the new Roger? Yo. Always got to have a new Roger.
We're looking for a Roger.
We're looking for Rogers.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's good. Well, that's essentially the
it was great. That was fascinating.
Right? Because you knew about it and
and I didn't know that we were necessarily talking about the fish farms with how it started. I thought maybe we were going into like technologies that were finding ways to use the ocean as our just general farming.
Yeah, and those are out there.
Right.
Those are out there.
I'm into technology. I'm into innovation. I encourage humanity to find what we have. To find ways to make what we have work.
Yes.
But I do think that fishing doesn't work right now the way we do it. I don't. I think that it's not sustainable. I think that we have absolutely, in many cases, not every case, and there's many fishermen out there who are going to be very mad at me for saying this, but in many cases we haven't done a great job of protecting our aquatic life. Mm-hmm. And if we can find ways to treat our fish more like we treat chicken on our sustainable farms.
Yes.
And on, where our friends are farming, then I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'm for doing that and making this a better planet and making that work.
Well, I'm guessing there are, and I
do want to comb the sea for sea chocolate too.
Good.
I'm up for that.
I'm sure that I didn't, to be fair to anybody who is involved in the fishing industries, I am sure there are good examples out there.
Tons of responsible fishermen.
There are tons of places that if you go shopping for fish that you will see, that this was done in the right way. This farm was, done in a what's the word I'm looking for? Sustainable way. Responsible way. Those companies exist, and I'm not here to list them off.
Yeah, like they'll fish an area, but then not so much that they can't reproduce, and then go somewhere else, and then do it, and then go somewhere else and move around. That's a way you can do it. You can fish by just essentially traveling where you're fishing, move it around, so you're not destroying the population in one area, because they will reproduce. That's what we do.
Right, and that exists. So we're not saying all fishing is bad, but as you know from when we did the episodes about dairy farms, soil farming, chicken farms, the unfortunate thing is that the bulk of all of these industries, the ones that have the heaviest hand in it, usually are using up the resources. So we're slowly and gradually getting these smaller companies, these upstarts, these people that really want to fix and change what we've done over the past several decades. We want to fix it because this country, it's like we got so big so fast and our population exploded and food exploded that everybody back in the...
food exploded?
Yeah, the food exploded. Well, in the 50s, we've been watching this thing... We've been watching this thing on Netflix called History 101, and the first one is called Fast Food. Right. And you see how, overnight, we went from going and having a burger and fries, with your family at this local diner.
Right.
It changed because the demand just got bigger and bigger, and they're like, well, we got to figure out a way to make this faster. And we got to find a way to make sure that this meat lasts longer and these fries last longer, and we got to find a way to make this work. And because of that, there was a lot of actions, as you already know, that just scraped the resources and just went, I'll do whatever it takes.
Right.
And now we're kind of paying for that.
Yeah.
We're going, we got to fix it now.
See, this is an example for those of you who are alive today. And I think most of the people listening to our show are alive today.
A few.
Yeah. Some may not be. So for that, I wish you the best in the next life.
All the best.
And some people may be listening on the Smithsonian records and may be alive when we're not alive today.
This show will outlast us.
I mean, it better, or we're doing it wrong.
We're doing it
wrong. But for those people who are alive in this moment today, not necessarily listening to it, because you could be alive tomorrow, and this sort of applies to you, but in a different way.
Right.
This is the example we're talking about with sustainability, right? We have been given today the problem of food that is not as high in quality, in nutrients, as it used to be.
Right.
And food that hurts our ability to live a plentiful, wonderful life. We're actually now in a situation where it's harder to find good food. This is a problem that was given to us by generations past.
Yes.
This is the kind of the point I think that Jacob is making with this fast food statement. It's like that now we live with what was done then. Yeah. And we've got to find a way, obviously, to solve it. And we've found great ways to solve it. And there are options, and there are good foods out there, and we're making it work. But that's not ideal. So the point I'm trying to make with our show and our message and our goals going forward, and the reason why we hope some of these larger companies will adopt more sustainable policies, is what we do today will cause a problem that is potentially in some ways known, but in most ways unknown for the people who are listening right now on the Smithsonian.
Right.
And not necessarily people who are alive today. So the people who are alive later than today.
To your point about ocean farming, if we do something now that's tearing up the ocean floor 50 years, 70 years from now, are they going to be going we shouldn't have done that? Why did we do that?
Did they do that?
Right.
Why, Grandpa? Why?
Right,
why,
Grandpa.
Why?
So
and but by the flip side, if you are finding ways that are both economically sound and also environmentally sound to protect species, to protect the planet, and to use the earth in the manner in which it was intended, which is to be productive and kick butt.
And find the chocolate of the sea.
Kicking butt's important. And find the chocolate of the sea. Then great, because then generations from now, they could be like the people in the Smithsonian listening to us now could be like, oh, chocolate of the sea is so good.
It's so good.
I don't know what people did.
I can't believe that everybody up until 2025 had never tasted the chocolate of the sea.
Yes, like they didn't know. And so it'll be great when we do get chocolate of the sea and when we have that all worked out.
Our lips to Neptune's ears.
With his wailing.
Back to the trident.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it, man.
That was great. I apologize if I started a little bit slow.
No.
I had the largest salad that I've had in a very long time, which I think normally would probably energize me, but I feel like there's a delay. Like when I have salad, I feel like at first my body goes digest, like tries to get it, and then I feel a burst later, which is much different than when I eat my fast food hamburger,
right,
where it's energy, and then you crash.
Whereas you're still literally, I mean, we're not even kidding, folks. Like we joked at the beginning that we didn't need the trees between us anymore, just here, or did we? I don't know if we called that out or not, but like
that may or may not have made the cut.
That may or may not made the cut, but basically his salad was the trees. It was like
I ate it.
It was like kale from floor to ceiling, and he ate it. It was so much kale, but it was good.
It was good. I mean, it was good.
And you're going to feel good for the rest of the day, and you're not going to crash.
Well, the energy's now hitting me. Now I'm ready. I'm ready to start the podcast.
Okay, so we'll start over.
We can just do it again.
No, I actually, to tell you the truth, at the beginning, I didn't think it was slow. I feel like whenever these are good shows, when I bring a subject, because like most of you know, there's only the rare occasion where Noel even knows what we're going to talk about. If we have a guest, sure. But if I just spring a subject on him, I like these when I come in and you already have a perspective and a view and experience on it, and then I can kind of show you.
Yeah, give me some perspective, some other ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why we do this.
Flip it a little bit. Give me some more. Give me more love.
Give me more love.
I love it.
I love it too.
No, it was great. It was a very nice podcast. Thank you for your time on the podcast, Jacob. Today, this was glorious.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, you're talking to them.
Thank you too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Biofriendly Podcast. We are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Featuring greater parasympathetic nerve activity. Is that too early?
No, that was the one. It was including greater parasympathetic nerve activity.
No, I think that's the one. I just did the wrong one, didn't I? I think I said that one.
Did you?
Featuring greater.
So then I need to say
not just
charismatic megafauna.
Yes, we're not just charismatic.
Okay, so we both said one.
Nature's perfect. Look at eggs.
Dolphins don't quit.
This is like the best one.
Y'all inclusive.
We are y'all inclusive.
Y'all inclusive.
I don't know if it's the best one, but that's hilarious.
No, it's my favorite. Still, I've not heard anything as good as y'all inclusive in a long time. Y'all inclusive.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
All right.
See you next time.
See you next week.
See you next week.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.